Welcome back, friends. Today we are doing part 2 of our series where I try to show you techniques that might help you give a little bit more youthful appearance to your face using makeup. So sometimes some of our old techniques that we used to use are a little dated, or they can actually be causing our face to give the illusion that it's a little bit older than it actually is. And with some updated, refreshing techniques, we can really give the illusion of lifted, more youthful face. So in our first episode, we discussed brows, and I showed you techniques to make a more youthful appearance with your brows. Today we are going to do the eyes. We're going to do eyeshadow, eyeliner, and mascara, and I'm going to give you all of my tips and tricks. All right, so to start, I'm going to prime my lid. I'm just using my brightening shade, and this just helps cancel out all of the discoloration in your lid that your lid naturally has, like if you have veins or redness or whatever that might be. Allows for whatever colors you put on to really show their true pigment, and it helps everything stay better as well. So now that I put a little cream on there, I'm just taking my vanilla dust and I'm going to set everything so we don't get any creases and everything stays exactly where it should. I like to start my shadow by always working with the crease shade first. For the crease, you should pick something that's pretty much neutral, like your skin, but maybe a little bit darker. It should also not be shimmery. It should be matte, and let me explain why. So in the crease area, this is where we can really start to see some of our aging come to life. This gets a little bit textured. It'll have those fine lines running through it, or it'll start to hang and droop. And what we want to give is the illusion of that kind of pushing back. So we want to use a color that is not shimmery and not very bright. So we kind of just want this part of the eyelid to kind of recede. Now, one thing I want to tell you is about the placement. When I say crease, what happens is you guys literally go in the crease like this. And then when you open your eye, you can't see it. And so what we really mean when we say crease is above the crease. So taking your natural crease, which is right here, but really we're going to focus on this section up here, okay? So not all the way up to that brow bone, but pretty darn close, just leaving a thin little line here and applying the shadow all in here. Another thing that I want you to make sure you do when you're doing this part of the shadow is not stopping it short. We're trying to give the illusion that our eye is very large and wide so that it looks open, and it's really like ends up being the spotlight of the face. So we want to make sure when we're doing it, we come out here. All right, we want to come all the way out to where that brow ends. Okay, if you come out too far, I'm going to show you a technique where we can clean it up at the end. We're not really worried about that, but we want to make sure that we come all the way out, okay? Because if we stop short, then we're giving the illusion that the eye is stopping short, all right? So for today's purposes, I'm going to use the shade Butterscotch. It's this one right here. And I'm just lightly going to tap in and tap off. I'm using our eyeshadow brush, which is dual-ended, and I'm using the fluffy side. Something that I cannot teach you, you're going to have to figure out, is that you are using a very, 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 very light touch. You can always go back and add more, but you want to be light-handed when you start. So we're just going to start working that in real lightly, and we're going to be pulling it out, and I kind of pull it out in this way, like up a little bit. Okay, super easy. Step one is very, very easy. I'm going to close my eye so that you can really see how far, like this is my natural crease. I'm really above it. I'm not in it. Now, when it comes to the lid, this is where you want to make some impact. You want this color to be lighter, to be brighter. It can have shimmer. If you don't like shimmer, it absolutely doesn't have to have shimmer. I'm going to use the shade, what am I going to use today? I'm going to use the shade As You Wish. It is pearly, it is soft. It's one of my favorites. And I'm just going to be rubbing my finger in it. See? And I'm just going to press it on here. Make sure you get to this inside corner. And we're just going to press that right in there. If you want to at this point, you can be done with like the shadow portion. If you want to add a little bit more depth, I'm gonna show you how to do that. I'm gonna take this shade Sedona. It is not like super dark by any means, but I'm gonna take this small end and I'm just gonna pat it into there. And I'm just gonna work it right here on the outer corner and kind of up into that crease. Just for a little bit more added depth. You can come in here on the crease a little bit, almost like a V. Can you see how I'm doing that? And then we take this other end of the brush and just blend it out to soften it. You don't have to do this, but if you want to, this is how you do it. And also, if you want this shade to have more impact, you want to use something deeper and darker, you can certainly do that with a deeper shade. But we just want to use it kind of very minimally and then blend it out. Also going to take that shade and just run it lightly under the lid. Under the eye, not the lid. I'm crazy. You can see now the general direction of the shadow is pulling the eye kind of this way. That is the goal, to give the illusion that it's coming up this way. All right, now we're going to talk about liner. So here are my things with liner. I love a black liner. I'm not opposed to people using a black liner. I think to really make the eye look more youthful, black liner can be done beautifully, but it needs to be done very thin and very tight to the lash line. When you use a heavy black liner on top of the lid, under the lid, it gives the illusion of closing the eye in. So if the goal for you is to open your eye, then we really want to use liner very minimally. But I still love it. Like, I still love it and I still think it's important. It's not that I don't think you should be doing it. I do still love liner and I love black liner. You just have to be very strategic and use it very minimally, very thin, and right at that lash line. Something I often suggest to my customers is to use a shadow for liner. It's a little bit more forgiving. It's softer to the eye. I think one thing that we try to do as we're maturing here and aging so gracefully is we really want to keep the face looking soft and not have these very dramatic and harsh colors and lines. That's what keeps the face looking most youthful, in my opinion. So I took my edge brush, love this brush. This brush is fairly new to Seint, and I sprayed it with my setting powder. That will allow me to kind of go in with shadow, any shadow that I choose, and use it as liner. So I'm going to use the shade Trust today. That's this guy. And it's not dark. He's dark, but it's not black. And I'm really going to just kind of focus right here on the lash line. So with this brush, we can kind of just push Trust into the lash line. And you don't have to worry about like having this very perfect defined line if that's something that's a challenge for you. Just use a brush like this. See, it has to be super dense and super stiff. And just push it and wiggle it into the lashes. Now, one thing you really want to make sure that you do is you come all the way to the end of your eye. If you stop it short, it's gonna, again, give that illusion that your eye is much smaller than it actually is. So for me, I personally prefer to give myself a slight wing. I'm not talking about anything dramatic, but I like to just take this and just kind of drag it right out here a little bit. And you can clean it up. You can make that as large or short as you like. Just make sure the direction it's going is this way, diagonal, not out like this. We're not trying to give that Egyptian queen look. We want to go more on a diagonal. You can always clean it up, so don't be afraid to kind of get in there and go for it. On this side, I'm going to use Black Friday, which is a cream liner, and I'm going to use the other end of that etch brush, and I'm going to get it right there on the tip. And I'm gonna wiggle it into this lash line over here, just to show you another option. This is typically what I use every day. Because I love the definition that a black liner gives my eyes. And when I'm doing this, you guys, I can feel my lashes moving back and forth. That's because I'm right at the root of the lashes. That's really where you need to be focusing it. I'm going to now use mascara primer. I am a mascara primer girl. I didn't want to be, but I am. I feel like they just give a thickening coat to the lashes. So then when you're working with your actual mascara, you don't have to use as much, and it really helps you avoid clumping. And I hate clumping. So I'm going to apply that. I'm going to give that a minute to kind of set and dry down, and then we're going to come back to it and apply our mascara because I have techniques for that as well. Let's talk about mascara for a minute. I do not like a waterproof formula. I just think they are too harsh on the lashes, too hard to get off, too drying. I don't care for it. But a water resistant is kind of ideal for our age group, right? Because it's just easy for the mascara to kind of slide around. I'm using this Prime Prometics. I've been using it for months and I freaking love it. So when you're applying your mascara, you want to get at the root of those lashes. So you should just kind of blink into it. So blink and kind of roll it up. Make sure, I like to do this just so I make sure I hit the tips, because it's easy to like not hit the tips and leave them out. When you're applying, I like to take these and pull them kind of towards the nose like this. Pull these up to the middle and these out to the edge. Just so that we get that fanning effect, we want them to kind of stand up and fan across the whole eye. Some people just kind of do this and they just pull it in one clump to the side, and you're just really not maximizing your eyelashes, and you're not giving enough credit to how important your eyelashes are. I tell people all of the time that if you have that hooded eyelid, if that is really bugging you, this is really dropping all the way down, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're not feeling comfortable with the way it's looking, your best bet is to keep your makeup, your eyeshadow, just very, very basic. Like you could even just do that crease work and call it a day. Getting really in there tightly, thinly with that eyeliner, but maximizing your lashes, whether that means using false lashes, using a lash serum to help your lashes grow, really working on your mascara technique. If you can get those lashes to stand up and fan over that droopy skin, you're not going to see it. You're blocking it. You know, you're like standing over it. Nobody's going to see what's happening behind it, and it will open your eyes so, so much. So really focus on your mascara if you are struggling with that droopy lid. And then down here, I just like to hit them. That's it. Just coat them. They don't need to, I don't want too much product on it. I don't want too much anything. Just like make it easy for yourself. All right, now that we're done with our makeup, well, our eyeshadow, I'm gonna take my brightening shade and I'm just gonna tap in just lightly, and I want to clean it up. So I'm just gonna kind of do this. That just ensures that if I have any shadow, I don't want it dragging my face down. I want it to, again, we're heading in this direction. I want to give that illusion. So I want to just pull it up like this and clean up those sides, and it just gives so much lift to the eye area. It is incredible. Do not skip that step. It's so, you don't really want a lot of product on there, just enough to kind of clean up that edge. I hope you found all these tips super helpful. Next week, we're gonna get into some of the techniques that we can use on our face to help give a more lifted, youthful appearance. So stay tuned for that.